Welcome to the video, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the beginning stages of beat making and what you need to focus on to make beats, right? The things that are the most important, especially for sampled beats. So if you want to be making sampled beats or beats with samples, you got to focus on these things, which I think are the most important. All right, let's start. So if you're trying to make beats with samples, you got to focus on sampling, all right? And this sounds obvious, of course, but a lot of people tend to always go for sample packs. You can't just be taking samples from sample packs, all right? Because these samples are already chopped, already ready for you to make beats, and that's all good. But I feel that if you want to be really good at making beats with samples, you got to go and dig for samples, meaning that you got to search for songs and you got to find samples on your own, because that will ultimately take you to being great at sampling, at chopping, at finding samples. I feel like that work, that extra work of actually searching, will allow you to know a lot more music. It will allow you to play around with different genres, and all of this that comes from actually digging and finding samples will actually benefit you in the future, because any sample that you find, you'll know what to make of it. Next one, layering. Okay, layering means that you're going to be putting samples together. Layering could be done just for drums, like you can layer snares together to create new snares. But it can also be, you put a Rhodes sample, then you got another sample like a saxophone there, and you want to layer on top. That will take in, some knowledge as well, and you gotta understand how to do that. There's some techniques like filtering, which is another step that I have here for you to learn, and pitching and all of that. So you gotta learn how to layer. So the next one is filtering and EQs. You got to learn how to work with filters, learn about high pass filters, low pass, band pass, which each one of these filters do and how you can benefit off of them. In the past, people would make bass lines off of filtering a whole sample. By using a low pass, they would take out the higher frequencies and just use the low. We still do that today, of course. I don't use that technique much, but I know it's there. I know it exists. Sometimes I might need to use it. It's very important to know this. And if you master EQs and filtering, if you know all types of filters and how to use them, it's going to benefit you a lot when it gets to layering samples. All right. Next one. This is an obvious one. You got to know how to pitch. The biggest thing about pitching is really just listening. You got to listen. Don't focus on is it on the same key. It doesn't really matter if it's in key as long as it sounds good. Most of the times when I'm layering samples and I'm pitching samples to make them fit together harmonically, I never focus on, or I never look at the MPC and see if the sample is on the same key, like in the key of A or B. I don't care about that. It could be pitched to a different tone as long as it sounds good, all right? So the trick to great pitching is more about listening than to looking at the screen and see if everything is in the key of A or in the key of B. That doesn't really matter. What matters is your listening skills, all right? So you got to train your skills as well. Another part of making beats is bass lines, all right? There are different ways to creating bass lines. I've said one already where you would filter all the higher frequencies and just keep the low part of the sample. You can obviously play the bass on a keyboard or an actual bass. Or you can just chop bass lines from a record and then use them. At the end of the day, especially with hip hop, a great bass line can really deliver a great result, a great beat at the end. So you got to focus on that as well. Put some effort into creating great bass lines. Now, other things that are really important in your beat making process is swing. Creating swing, taking a boring beat into something that is dope just by shifting notes or adding swing to your hi-hats, to your snares and kicks. That is such an important tool to learn that you got to really focus on it. And it takes some time for you to become a master, but it's you got to learn it. You got to learn about swing, learn about ghost notes. So all these things, quantization, swing, ghost notes, this is very, very important if you're making beats. Got to learn about these things, all right? Another thing that you got to learn about is compression. This is a highly important effect, especially for your outputs of your sampler when you're mastering. I never use compression when I'm mixing, but on the outputs, I think is such an important tool that you really got to learn about it. You got to learn because that will give you that really punchy sound of hip hop. These are the things that I need that as a beginner, you need to focus on, all right? These are the most important things. There are a lot of stuff that we could be talking about as well, but these ones, so if you're starting, you got to learn about them. So if you're starting, these are the tools. I want you to focus on them and just go and do the best that you can. I'll see you in a couple of years and tell me how it went, all right? Thanks so much for watching the video. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye. Peace.